Choosing the best paint colours for your living room is no easy feat. There is seemingly hundreds of different shades out there, from whites, blues, greens and everything in between. So that's why in this video today I'm going to be sharing with you how to choose the best paint colours for your living room, no matter the orientation and how the light feels in your space during the day. I'm also going to be sharing how to test paint in your room in the correct way that doesn't involve painting directly onto the wall. And then I'm going to give you a roundup of 7 of my favourite Dulux paint colours which really are perfect for all living rooms, no matter the orientation of your space. So if you're decorating in the next few months, keep watching and I'm going to show you my favourite colours. How to paint test in your living room might seem a little bit obvious, but actually there's a much better way than doing it than painting your shades onto your wall. So the problem with painting directly onto a wall is that you will experience places in your living room that might be a bit shadier and a bit brighter throughout the day, and it doesn't allow you to take it around the room to see how the paint colour looks throughout the whole space. And this is why I'm quickly going to show you the method that I use with my Dulux tester pots and how you should do it in your own home too when you're testing the best shades for your living room. Firstly, grab yourself a white sheet of paper. This is what the Dulux rollers look like. They are so cute and really easy to use. They come with a little foil insert. You just need to pull this and it's going to release the paint ready for painting. I then put the lid back on and give it a good shake before you're ready to start rolling with it. Now you just use it like any old paint roller and just paint across the paper like this. It's going to stop the paper from curling once it's dried. Do a good 2 coats so you get a really good indication of the colour, and this is what it looks like. Now, choosing the best colours for your living room is something I want to discuss, and how it should always start with the orientation of your space. It's not simply a case of just saying, I love that colour, I'm going to use it, because the way that your room is positioned to the light that it receives every day is going to really affect how your colour looks throughout the entire day. Now, you may already have an inkling or a really good idea of what the orientation of your living room is, and sometimes it's very telltale with the way that the sunlight comes into your room throughout the day. So for us, we're in a westerly facing living room. We have little light in the morning, so it can feel a little bit colder, and then in the afternoon and late evening we get a lot of light through this space. Now if you've got an east facing living room, you're in the complete opposite, so you're going to get a lot of beautiful light in the morning, but in the evening it's going to feel a little bit colder. So you do need to be sympathetic to that and make sure you're using colours that are going to feel warmer, especially if you are using your living room in the evening. And then we also have the notoriously difficult north facing room. Now it's quite easy to tell if you've got a north facing room because you typically won't receive any light throughout the day, and when you do, it's typically cold in nature, and it can also be known as sort of a blue light, and it can feel like whatever colour you use in that space, the room still feels really cold. So if you do have a north facing living room, you probably already know about it. And of course, with a sunny south facing room, you are going to get beautiful swathes of light throughout the entire day, unless maybe you're obviously in the UK when it does rain a lot. But when it is sunny, you're going to be getting a lot of that light throughout the day, and it's typically going to feel very warm. However, in the summer, that light can feel really intense and make the room feel a lot warmer and a lot hotter. So that's why you also need to be sympathetic with the colour choices you make in a south facing room to make sure that it doesn't feel overly hot. But this is really a reason why you do need to know the orientation of your living room before choosing your colour, because that light is going to change throughout the day, which means your paint colour might look completely different in the morning to what it does in the evening. And it's why I always stress it's so important to grab tester pots before you start painting. Okay, so now we've covered that, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to share with you 7 of my favourite Dulux colours for a living room. I've tested them all on my paper already, so I'm going to pop them up and I'm going to show you how they actually look in the room, and I'm going to tell you what rooms they're best suited to. So coming in at number 1, I've got to share the most popular Dulux neutral shade, and that is Egyptian Cotton. Now this shade is absolutely beautiful if you're looking for a modern warm neutral for your living room. And I'm just going to show you how it came out on my paper sample, which is obviously going to look completely different in the light on my camera to how it actually looks in my room. So the finished shade is a really warm neutral. It can be classed as a greige, even a taupe, but it's got those creamy tones to it. It has a slight yellow undertone to it, but in my room, which is west facing, It doesn't actually have much of a yellow presence to it. And I'm just going to pop it up on my wall here. Now this shade is actually only a tiny bit darker than what we've got on the walls currently, and I do get asked quite a lot about this wall colour. So we actually have a Volspar Almond White. I love it. I love it. It's so warm, and it's very similar to Egyptian cotton actually. Egyptian cotton's a little bit darker, and you could use this colour in a space with half wall panelling. So paint the bottom half in Egyptian cotton, and then you could add bright white to the top half, and it's just going to draw the eye up and make the room feel a little bit lighter and brighter. I'm a big fan of it, and what I love about it is it's versatile for pretty much any orientation of room. Because it's got that yellow undertone to it, it's going to make a north facing room feel brighter. It's going to be perfect for the changing light in a west and an east facing room, and also in a sunny south facing room. It has that darker tone to it, but it's not going to feel too intense as if you used a bright white in the space. So at number 2, I'm going to move on to another modern neutral, but a little bit different to Egyptian cotton, still hugely popular, and that is Natural Hessian. Natural Hessian is a beautiful, beautiful shade. I've got it up here behind me, as you can see. And this shade is actually a little bit pinkier in nature. It doesn't really have any yellow undertones to it. And in my space here, it doesn't look like a greyish, whereas Egyptian cotton was looking a little bit darker. This looks a bit pinker, more like salmon in my space. And this is why I say it's so important to buy a tester pot before. I'm in a west facing room, it's getting a little pink tinge to it, but as we edge into the evening and we get lots of sunlight in, it might feel even lighter in the space. But this is a really, really good colour, again, for most rooms. It might be a little bit too warm in a sunny south-facing room, but if you've got a north-facing room, or you've got west or east-facing, it's perfect because it has got that warmth behind it. And again, it's a modern neutral, really, really popular. Not as popular as Egyptian cotton, but it's really, really good in this space. So the only sort of like off-white I want to mention, which is closer to white, is Polished Pebble. Now, Polished Pebble has grey undertones to it. There's no denying it. I'm not sure if you can see it behind here, but it's got very, very sort of soft grey tones to it. But it can look almost whitey in certain light. Now, if you want to use something like Polished Pebble or a grey in your living room, if you have a north-facing room, don't, because your room already has very little natural light to bounce around, and with a grey like this, it's going to make the space feel even colder and more lifeless. So if you've got a north-facing room, don't use grey. And I'm also going to give you the same advice if you've got an east or a west-facing room, because in those parts of the day where you get no light at all and it can be quite cold, it's going to make it feel even colder at that time. So unless you predominantly use your room at the time that you get a lot of sunlight, then I'd maybe lean towards it. But if you've got a sunny south-facing room, something like Polished Pebble can be a great choice because it's going to cool down and balance with the intensity of the sun, and especially in the summer, it's not going to feel as warm and intense as it could be if you used a warm-based colour. Now, coming in at number 4, we have another neutral, but it's quite different. We've got Mellow Mocha, or Mocha. And this is actually a pink-based off-white, but it's very pinky actually in my light, and I really, really like it. But in certain lights it can almost look like a brown, a pink, but in my west-facing living room it's looking very pink, and I actually really, really like it. And I think if you're wanting to create a really cozy living room, and especially if you don't get a lot of light, or if you've got an east facing living room and you spend a lot of time in the evening in it, a pink based tone like this can look really, really good, really cozy, really cocooning and enveloping in a space, and I really, really like it. But again, I think this would look nice with a half wall paneling look, and if you're looking for a warmer neutral, it can be a really, really great choice. It's not got those yellow based undertones. A lot of people don't like yellow based. I personally really like yellow and pink because they just warm an interior up really nicely. But yeah, this one I really like. And now we are moving on to a little bit of colour, and at number 5 we've got Willow Tree. So greens are so popular in an interior. It's a great way to bring the outside world in, and also it brings a really restorative, soothing and calming balance to a space, and especially that is what you want to create in a living room. If you want to create an inviting and welcoming space, green is a great way to do that. Now obviously there's so many different shades of green. Sage green is really popular at the moment, and Willow Tree is one of their most popular green colours. Willow Tree looks like a sage green, but it can also be classed as sort of a pastel minty green or an apple green. I really, really like it. It's really, really calming. whilst green is typically a little bit cool in tone, it's definitely got a warmth about it. So it really does work well in all types of living rooms, no matter your orientation. I really like this in a modern interior scheme. So pair it with black accents. They're going to bring a touch of modernity but ground the scheme, because Willow Tree is quite sort of light and cool in nature. Bring in wooden tones as well. Wooden tone is really good for a natural look like this. So think wooden furniture and also natural materials such as rattan baskets. It's going to look really, really good with this colour scheme. But you might also want to team it with a creamy colour or a grey such as Egyptian cotton or natural Hessian. They both look really, really nice together in a space. And I kind of want to paint my living room this colour now. Absolutely love it. Number 6, we've got another green and a very little bit different. We're taking it to the earthier side here, and we've got Overtly Olive. This is one of my favourite green colours from their collection. It's got a really gorgeous khaki olive colour to it. I mean, what is not to love about this colour? It is so on trend. It's earthy. I can imagine it with browns, creams, beiges, rattan, wooden tones. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. And what I love about this colour is it's the perfect balance between warm and cool tones. So again, you can get away with using this colour in any sort of living room, no matter how your light affects the room during the day. Again, please look at it how it looks in your room during the coldest time of the day and also the warmest. Just so you can see how it changes. But yeah, I really, really love it for a living room. Really dynamic, versatile, and if you want to create a cozy enveloping space, this really is a great choice. Now, coming in at number 7, it is my last, it's my boldest recommendation from Dulux. It's Sapphire Salute. Now, this is one of the most popular navy blue, midnight blue shades. It is absolutely beautiful. If you want to create a bold statement in your living room, this is the one for you, and if you don't, please ignore this. It is not for the faint-hearted, but if you can pull it off successfully, it can make your living room feel so cozy, so inviting and warming in the space. Now, if you have a very cold north-facing room, you could choose to lean into those darker hues and embrace it for what it is. And if you do that, a navy blue is a really, really great choice because it's going to make the space feel even more cozier and more enveloping. Now, you can always choose to go for a bright white on the ceiling. It will draw the eye up. But I would generally stick with more moodier decorative detailing in the space. So if you want to bring in sort of an accent colour, you could actually look at sort of like brass and gold accents because it's going to create such a gorgeous, strong contrast against it. And I'm just going to show you how gold looks against the brass. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but they contrast so beautifully together for a really sumptuous look, and it can deliver more of a luxurious feel to a living room. I really, really love it. Navy blue isn't for me right now. I'm not in my navy blue era, but it's really, really on trend. A lot of people love navy blue in their interiors, and that's why I really wanted to include this one, because I thought it was quite important to show you how bolder colours can work in a living room as well. So guys, those are just 7 of my favourite Dulux colours for a living room right now. I wanted to give you a mix of your more neutral modern shades all the way up to your bold statement making shades, just to give you an idea of how you could use them in your living room and how they could be used for different orientations of rooms depending on how the light affects your space during the day. I get so many questions about using paint in the interior, and I know how difficult and daunting it can feel, which is why I wanted to share 7 of my favourite shades with you today to help make that process a little bit easier. But if there is a shade I've not mentioned today and you really want to use it in your space, please leave me a comment below and I'll come straight back to you with my advice on the colour. But other than that, please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it today. It really does help my channel, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video.